Dr. Minji Kim rubbed her tired eyes as she stared at the computer screen in her small laboratory aboard the research station Meridian. For the past 3 weeks, she had been analyzing blood and tissue samples from Earth's first diplomatic mission to the alien worlds. As a xenobiologist, her job was to study how human biology might react to alien environments and vice versa. Something was bothering her about the test results. The samples from the male diplomats showed completely different biochemical patterns compared to the female ones. At first, she thought it was just normal gender differences, but the variations were too extreme to ignore. Jin-Ho Park, one of the Korean diplomats, had particularly interesting readings. His hormone levels were off the charts, but not in a dangerous way. Instead, his pheromone production was incredibly active, almost like his body was working overtime to produce something specific. The strangest part was that his immune system seemed stronger than ever, and his cell regeneration rates were faster than any human she had studied before. Minji decided to dig deeper. She pulled up the classified alien communication files that the intelligence team had intercepted over the past few months. Most of it was standard trade negotiations and political discussions, but buried in the data were references to something called liquid gold. The aliens mentioned it with the same reverence humans might talk about diamonds or platinum. Her heart started racing as she connected the dots. The aliens weren't just talking about any valuable substance. They were specifically discussing biological compounds from the third planet species. That was Earth. They were talking about humans. She worked through the night, cross-referencing every piece of data she could find. The alien communications revealed that 17 different alien species had been secretly testing human biological samples, not just any samples, specifically from human males. The results were shocking. According to the intercepted messages, compounds found in human male pheromones had extraordinary effects on alien biology. The substance could extend alien lifespans by decades, maybe even centuries. It could cure diseases that had plagued alien civilizations for millennia. Most importantly, it could reverse aging in ways that alien science had never achieved. The aliens called it liquid gold because just a few drops of processed human male pheromones could sell for the equivalent of an entire planet's yearly income. Earth's men were walking around completely unaware that their bodies were producing the most valuable substance in the known galaxy. Minji felt sick to her stomach as she realized the implications. The recent improvement in alien-human relations wasn't because they respected humanity's achievements or wanted peaceful cooperation. The aliens saw human males as biological gold mines. They were probably already planning ways to harvest this precious substance. She looked at Jin-Ho's medical file again. The poor man had no idea that his simple diplomatic mission had revealed humanity's greatest secret. His body was naturally producing compounds that could make him incredibly wealthy or put him in terrible danger. The research station felt eerily quiet as Minji sat alone with this earth-shattering discovery. She knew she had to report this immediately, but she also knew that once this information got out, everything would change. Human males would never be safe again. Every alien civilization would want access to this biological treasure. Her hands shook as she began typing her report. The galaxy was about to become a very different place for humanity, and it all started with a simple blood test from a Korean diplomat who just wanted to help establish peaceful relations with alien worlds. Captain Hyun-Woo Lee was having a normal day hauling cargo between Earth colonies when everything went wrong. His ship, the Pioneer's Dream, was loaded with medical supplies heading to the Outer Rim settlements. The journey through the Centauri system was supposed to be routine. He had made this run dozens of times before without any problems. The attack came out of nowhere. 3 alien ships appeared on his radar, moving faster than anything he had ever seen. Hyun-Woo tried to outrun them, but his cargo vessel was no match for their advanced technology. Within minutes, they had disabled his engines and were forcing him to dock with their main ship. Hyun-Woo expected the worst. Pirates in this part of space were known for taking everything valuable and either killing the crew or selling them into slavery. He prepared himself for interrogation, torture, or worse. Instead, something completely unexpected happened. The alien pirates treated him like he was made of pure gold. They didn't hurt him or even raise their voices. Instead, they spoke in hushed, almost reverent tones as they escorted him through their ship. The aliens kept staring at him with what looked like amazement, as if they had never seen anything so valuable in their entire lives. They placed him in what could only be described as a luxury suite. The room was spacious and comfortable, with everything he could possibly need. High-quality food appeared regularly, and the temperature was kept at the perfect level for human comfort. There were entertainment systems, books, and even exercise equipment. It was more like a five-star hotel than a prison cell. Hyunwoo was completely confused. Why were space pirates treating him better than most hotels treated their guests? The answer came 3 days later, when he overheard a conversation between two of his captors. They weren't planning to ransom him or sell him as a slave. They were planning to auction him off as something called a Nectar producer. Hyunwoo had no idea what that meant, but the way the aliens talked about it made his blood run cold. The medical procedures started the next day. Alien doctors, if you could call them that, began taking small samples of his blood, saliva, and other bodily fluids. The process was completely painless and took only a few minutes each day. The aliens were incredibly careful, making sure he was comfortable and healthy throughout the entire process. What shocked Hyunwoo the most was learning how valuable these tiny samples were. He accidentally accessed part of their computer system while trying to send a distress signal. The numbers he saw were unbelievable. A single vial of his processed biological material was being sold for amounts that could buy entire star systems. One small tube of his pheromones was worth more money than most planets made in a whole year. The aliens were treating these samples like they contained liquid diamonds. Buyers from across the galaxy were bidding astronomical amounts just for the chance to purchase even the smallest quantity. Hyunwoo realized he wasn't just a prisoner, he was a living treasure chest. His body was naturally producing something so valuable that alien civilizations were willing to go to war over it. The pirates weren't interested in his ship or cargo. They had hit the ultimate jackpot by capturing a human male. As days passed, more alien buyers arrived to inspect him like he was a prize racehorse. They discussed his health, his age, and his potential production capacity. Hyunwoo felt like a commodity rather than a person, even though they continued, treating him with bizarre respect and care. The auction was scheduled for the following week, and Hyunwoo knew his life was about to change forever. He was no longer just a simple cargo ship captain. He had become the galaxy's most valuable biological resource. Ambassador Soyeon Choi had always been suspicious about how quickly things were going well for Earth. For months, alien civilizations had been offering incredibly generous trade deals that seemed too good to be true. Advanced technology, medical breakthroughs, and favorable treaties were being handed to humanity on a silver platter. As Earth's lead diplomat, she knew that nothing in galactic politics came free. The turning point came during a routine meeting with the Galactic Commerce Guild. Soyeon noticed something strange when reviewing the medical requirements for human diplomats. Every male representative was required to undergo extensive health screenings before any diplomatic mission. The aliens claimed it was for safety reasons, but female diplomats faced much simpler medical checks. Her curiosity got the better of her. Soyeon began digging through months of diplomatic files, looking for patterns that others might have missed. What she found made her stomach turn. Every single favorable trade agreement coincided perfectly with medical examinations of human, male diplomats. The more she investigated, the more disturbing the picture became. The aliens weren't just checking the health of human males, they were collecting biological samples during every medical exam. Blood tests, saliva samples, and hormone level checks were being conducted under the guise of standard diplomatic health protocols. Soyeon decided to follow the paper trail. Using her diplomatic access codes, she traced where these biological samples were going after the medical exams. The results shocked her. Instead of being disposed of as medical waste, every sample was being carefully processed and stored in high-security facilities across multiple alien worlds. The breakthrough came when she discovered internal communications between alien medical facilities and luxury health resorts for wealthy alien aristocrats. The messages were coded, but Soyeon had always been good with languages and patterns. The aliens were talking about a revolutionary anti-aging treatment that could extend lifespans by centuries. The treatment was made from something they called essence of the third planet species, a fancy way of saying human biological material. Specifically, they were using compounds extracted from human male pheromones to create the most expensive life extension therapy in galactic history. Soyon felt sick as she realized the scope of the operation. Earth's entire diplomatic program had been designed as a harvesting scheme. Every time a human male diplomat traveled to alien worlds for negotiations, he was unknowingly providing biological material that was worth more than entire star systems. The aliens had been incredibly clever about it. They made humans feel special and important, while secretly treating them like livestock. The generous trade deals were just payment for access to human biology. Earth wasn't being welcomed into galactic society as equals. They were being farmed like a valuable resource. The worst part was discovering how long this had been going on. Records showed that alien interest in humanity had spiked dramatically. After the first male astronauts had made contact with alien species decades earlier, everything that followed, the technology sharing, the cultural exchanges, the diplomatic missions, had all been carefully orchestrated to gain regular access to human male biology. Wealthy alien aristocrats were paying fortunes to receive treatments derived from human pheromones. These treatments could reverse aging, cure diseases, and extend lifespans in ways that alien science had never achieved. The demand was so high that some alien civilizations were building their entire economies around processing and distributing human biological compounds. Soyon realized that Earth was in terrible danger. Once the aliens had perfected the synthesis process, they might decide that diplomatic cooperation was no longer necessary. Humanity could face invasion, enslavement, or worse if the aliens decided to take what they wanted by force. She had uncovered the galaxy's biggest secret, and now she had to figure out how to save humanity from becoming a biological commodity in an alien-controlled market. Dr. Tae-Jin Yoon had always dreamed of working alongside alien scientists, but he never imagined the circumstances would be so bizarre. As a biochemist assigned to the Joint Research Facility on Proxima Station, he thought he would be studying alien diseases or developing new medicines. Instead, he found himself trying to understand why his own species had become the galaxy's most valuable biological resource. The alien researchers were fascinated by human biology in ways that made Tae-Jin uncomfortable. They treated him like a living laboratory specimen, constantly asking him questions about human lifestyle, diet, and social behavior. At first, he thought they were just curious about Earth culture. Then he learned the real reason behind their intense interest. The breakthrough came when Tae-Jin was allowed to examine the actual research data. The aliens had been studying human male pheromones for years, and their findings were absolutely incredible. These natural compounds that every human man produced without thinking about it were like miracle drugs to alien biology. What made human male pheromones so special wasn't just one thing. It was everything about how humans had evolved on Earth. The alien scientists explained that Earth was an unusually harsh planet compared to most worlds that had developed intelligent life. The constant stress of survival had forced human biology to become incredibly adaptable and resilient. Tae-Jin learned that human males produced a unique cocktail of biochemical compounds that no other known species created. These compounds were the result of millions of years of evolution in Earth's challenging environment. High-stress situations, extreme weather changes, and constant threats from predators had shaped human biology in remarkable ways. The diverse diet that humans ate also played a crucial role. Unlike most alien species that evolved eating similar foods throughout their development, humans had adapted to consume an incredible variety of plants, animals, and nutrients. This dietary diversity had created complex biochemical pathways that produced compounds with extraordinary properties. Even human social structures contributed to the uniqueness of their biology. The way human males competed for mates, formed social bonds, and dealt with group dynamics had influenced their hormone production in ways that were completely different from alien species. The stress and excitement of human social life had fine-tuned their biochemical systems over countless generations. When alien biology encountered these human compounds, the results were nothing short of miraculous. The pheromones triggered regenerative processes that could reverse aging, heal damaged tissue, and extend lifespans dramatically. The compounds worked like master keys, unlocking biological processes that alien species had lost or never developed. What amazed Taijin the most was learning that these effects were completely harmless to humans. Men produced these valuable compounds every single day as part of their normal biological functions. They didn't even notice it happening. Their bodies were like pharmaceutical factories running at full capacity without any negative side effects. DC. Alien researchers showed him test results that seemed impossible. Alien subjects treated with human male pheromones showed cellular regeneration rates that were hundreds of times faster than normal. Diseases that had plagued alien civilizations for millennia could be cured with tiny amounts of these compounds. Brain function improved, immune systems strengthened, and physical aging could be reversed or stopped entirely. Taijin realized that Earth's harsh evolutionary environment had accidentally created the perfect biological medicine for the rest of the galaxy. Humans had developed survival mechanisms that were far beyond what most alien species possessed. What was normal biology for humans was miraculous healing technology for everyone else. The irony wasn't lost on him. Humans had always felt inferior when comparing their technology to advanced alien civilizations. But evolution had given humanity something far more valuable than any machine or computer. They had biological systems that could heal and extend life across multiple species. As Taijin continued his research, he understood that this discovery would change everything for humanity, and the commander Junho Han knew something was seriously wrong when human cargo ships started disappearing without a trace. As head of Earth's colonial security force, he had investigated dozens of missing vessel reports over the past 6 months. The pattern was always the same. Ships with male crews would vanish completely, while vessels with female crews remained untouched. The breakthrough came when one of his intelligence officers intercepted encrypted alien communications discussing biological harvesting operations. The messages were coded, but Han's team managed to decode enough to understand that humans were being captured and held in secret facilities across multiple alien worlds. Han assembled a small team of his most trusted officers for a covert investigation. They couldn't use official channels because they suspected some alien allies might be involved in the conspiracy. Using stolen alien technology, they began tracking the energy signatures of the missing human ships. The first facility they discovered was hidden on a moon in the Vega system. From the outside, it looked like a standard research station. But when Han's team infiltrated the complex, they found something that made their blood boil. Dozens of human men were being held in comfortable but secure chambers, completely unaware of what was happening to them. The men were being treated well, physically, good food, exercise facilities, and entertainment systems. But they were essentially prisoners in a biological factory. Alien technicians were regularly extracting small amounts of their pheromones and other bodily fluids using advanced medical equipment. The men had been told they were participating in important medical research to help improve human-alien relations. Han's team documented everything they could before moving to the second location. This facility was larger and more sophisticated, holding over 100 human males from various Earth colonies. The operation was so well organized that it was clear this had been going on for years, not months. The third facility was the most disturbing. Here the aliens had created an entire artificial environment designed to maximize pheromone production. The human prisoners lived in a fake, Earth-like habitat, complete with artificial weather patterns and simulated social situations. They had no idea they were on an alien world, believing they were part of an experimental Earth colony program. What made Han furious was discovering how the men had been captured. Many had been kidnapped during routine shipping runs or while working on remote mining operations. Others had been tricked into volunteering for fake colonization programs or scientific expeditions. Some had simply disappeared while traveling between Earth settlements. The evidence his team gathered was overwhelming. Internal alien documents showed a vast network of harvesting operations spanning dozens of worlds. The biological material, extracted from human males, was being processed into luxury treatments for wealthy alien aristocrats. The profit margins were enormous. A single human male could generate millions of credits worth of biological products over several years. Han realized this wasn't just a criminal operation. It was a systematic exploitation of humanity that went all the way to the top levels of alien government. The generous trade deals Earth had been receiving were essentially payment for allowing this biological harvesting to continue. When Han's team released their findings to Earth's colonies, the ARD reaction was explosive. Protests erupted across every human settlement. Families who had lost loved ones demanded immediate action. The revelation that humans were being treated like livestock by their supposed alien allies created a wave of anger that spread throughout human space. The rescue operations began immediately. Han coordinated simultaneous strikes on all known harvesting facilities. Working with colonial militias and volunteer rescue teams, they had to move fast before the aliens could relocate their prisoners or destroy the evidence. But rescuing the two captives was only the beginning. Han knew they had uncovered a conspiracy that threatened the future of humanity itself. The aliens had been farming humans like a biological resource, and now Earth had to decide how to respond to this ultimate betrayal. Scientist Haeri Jung was working late in her laboratory when she noticed something alarming in the alien medical data. As part of the investigation into the human harvesting conspiracy, she had been analyzing health records from various alien species that had been using human-derived treatments. What she discovered was far worse than anyone had imagined. The aliens weren't just using human male pheromones as luxury anti-aging treatments anymore. After decades of regular use, their bodies had become completely dependent on these compounds to function normally. Without a steady supply of human biochemistry, entire alien civilizations were facing a health crisis that threatened their survival. Harry's research showed that alien immune systems had essentially forgotten how to work. On their own, the powerful regenerative properties of human pheromones had taken over so many biological functions that aliens could no longer heal injuries, fight diseases, or even maintain basic cellular repair without these compounds. They had become biologically addicted to human biology. The situation was most severe among the Zephyrian ruling class, who had been the first to access human-derived treatments. Medical records showed that when they tried to stop using the compounds, their bodies began shutting down within days. Their lifespans, which had been extended by centuries through human pheromones, started rapidly reversing. Some aliens aged decades in just weeks when cut off from their supply. Harry discovered that the addiction wasn't limited to individual aliens. Entire species had restructured their biology around human compounds. The Carathian Empire had been using human pheromones in their military enhancement programs for so long that their soldiers could no longer function in combat without regular doses. Their enhanced strength, speed, and healing abilities all depended on maintaining constant levels of human biochemistry in their systems. Even more troubling was what Harry found in the reproductive data. Some alien species had become so dependent on human compounds that they could no longer reproduce successfully without them. Their fertility rates had plummeted, and birth defects were becoming common when human pheromones weren't available during pregnancy. These civilizations were facing extinction if they couldn't maintain access to human biology. The economic implications were staggering. Haeri's analysis revealed that the galactic economy had become completely dependent on human biological exports. Trade routes, currency systems, and entire planetary economies were built around the processing and distribution of human-derived compounds. Cutting off the supply would cause economic collapse across multiple star systems. What made the situation even more dangerous was that the aliens had hidden their dependency from each other. Each civilization thought they were the only ones using human compounds extensively. When Harry mapped out the true scale of galactic addiction, she realized that nearly every advanced alien species had become dependent on human biology to some degree. The withdrawal symptoms were already becoming visible across alien space. Reports were coming in of mysterious illnesses affecting alien populations, increased mortality rates, and social unrest on worlds where human compound supplies had been disrupted. The aliens were experiencing something similar to what humans might face if suddenly deprived of essential vitamins or medicines. Harry realized that Earth now held incredible power over the galaxy, but it was also in terrible danger. The aliens needed human males so desperately that they might resort to anything to maintain their supply. War, invasion, or forced breeding programs were all possibilities if the alien civilizations became desperate enough. The most shocking discovery was that some alien species had already begun modifying their own biology to increase their dependence on human compounds. They had deliberately made themselves more addicted because the benefits were so dramatic. These modifications were irreversible, meaning these civilizations would need human biochemistry forever or face complete biological collapse. Harry's research showed that humanity had accidentally become the keystone species for the entire galaxy. Without human males, advanced alien civilizations would crumble within years. Earth's men weren't just valuable. They had become absolutely essential for the survival of galactic civilization itself. Diplomat Seo-Jun Kim walked into the Galactic Council chambers with a confidence that surprised even himself. For the first time in human history, Earth held all the cards in an interstellar negotiation. The massive alien representatives who had once looked down on humanity now watched him with barely concealed desperation in their eyes. The council chamber fell silent as Seo-Jun took his place at the central podium. Representatives from 17 different alien civilizations sat before him, each one trying to hide their panic behind diplomatic masks. They all knew why he was here, and they all knew that their civilization's survival depended on what happened in the next few hours. Seo-Jun began by laying out everything Earth had discovered: the secret harvesting operations, the biological addiction crisis, and the complete dependence that alien civilizations had developed on human male pheromones. He presented medical evidence, economic data, and intelligence reports that painted a clear picture of how desperate the situation had become for the aliens. The Zephyrian ambassador tried to interrupt, claiming that the harvesting operations were unauthorized criminal activities. Seo-Jun calmly produced recordings of high-level government communications, proving that every major alien power had been involved in the conspiracy from the beginning. The room grew even quieter as the evidence mounted. What shocked the aliens most was that Earth wasn't demanding an end to the biological trade. Instead, Seo-Jun proposed something completely different: a fair partnership where humans would willingly provide what the aliens needed, but only under strictly controlled conditions that benefited both sides. The new terms were simple but revolutionary. Earth would establish regulated biological harvesting stations where human males could volunteer to provide pheromone samples in exchange for generous compensation. The process would be completely voluntary, with full informed consent and regular health monitoring. No more kidnapping, no more secret facilities, and no more treating humans like livestock. In exchange for this reliable supply of human biological material, the aliens would have to pay a price that reflected the true value of what they were receiving: advanced medical technology that could extend human lifespans to match alien longevity, educational exchange programs that would give humans access to centuries of alien scientific knowledge. Most importantly, full political representation in galactic government with voting power proportional to humanity's biological contribution. The Carathian military representative objected loudly, claiming that giving humans political power would upset the established galactic order. Seo-Jun smiled and reminded him that without human compounds, the Carathian military would collapse within months. Their enhanced soldiers were already experiencing withdrawal symptoms as supply lines had been disrupted. The negotiation became intense when Seo-Jun revealed Earth's ultimate leverage. Human scientists had begun developing synthetic alternatives to natural pheromones. While the artificial compounds weren't as effective as natural ones, they could keep alien civilizations stable during the transition to the new system. Earth was offering to share this technology, but only if the aliens agreed to the complete restructuring of galactic treaties. Some alien representatives tried to threaten military action, suggesting they could simply invade Earth and take what they needed by force. Seojun countered by explaining that stress and trauma significantly reduced the quality and quantity of human pheromone production. A conquered and terrified human population would provide far less valuable biological material than willing volunteers in comfortable conditions. The economic arguments were equally compelling. The current black market system was wasteful and dangerous, with significant losses during transport and processing. A regulated system would be more efficient, safer, and could actually increase overall production while reducing costs for everyone involved. As the hours passed, the alien representatives began to realize they had no choice. Their civilizations were dying without human compounds, and Earth was offering the only sustainable solution. The alternative was gradual extinction, as their biological dependencies led to complete societal collapse. The final agreement transformed humanity from an exploited species into the galaxy's most powerful civilization practically overnight. Earth had turned biological necessity into political revolution. Administrator Una Park stood on the observation deck of the first human biological preserve station, watching as the massive facility hummed with activity around her. Just 6 months ago, the idea of humans voluntarily providing biological samples to aliens would have seemed like science fiction. Now it was the foundation of an entirely new galactic economy that had made Earth the most powerful civilization in known space. The station was nothing like the crude harvesting facilities that aliens had operated in secret. This was a luxury resort that happened to also be a biological research center. The human volunteers lived in spacious apartments with stunning views of nearby nebulae. They had access to advanced entertainment systems, recreational facilities, and educational programs that would have been impossible to imagine just a year earlier. Una watched as a group of volunteers finished their morning exercise routine in the station's zero-gravity gymnasium. These men had signed up for 6-month rotations, during which they would provide small biological samples every few days, while living in conditions that most Earth billionaires could only dream of. The compensation they received was extraordinary. Not just money, but access to alien medical technology that could extend their lifespans by centuries. The selection process for volunteers had been surprisingly competitive. Word had spread quickly about the incredible benefits available to those accepted into the program. Extended lifespans, advanced education opportunities, and the chance to live among the stars had attracted applications from across Earth's colonies. The screening process focused on physical health, psychological stability, and the ability to handle long-term space residence. What amazed Una most was how the volunteers had embraced their role in galactic society. They weren't victims or prisoners. They were pioneers who understood the historical significance of what they were doing. Many had formed close friendships with alien researchers and staff members, creating the first truly integrated human-alien communities in history. The economic impact of the preserve stations was staggering. Each facility generated revenue equivalent to the gross domestic product of entire star systems. The processed human compounds were distributed through carefully regulated channels to alien civilizations that desperately needed them to maintain their biological stability. The profits were shared between Earth's government, the volunteers themselves, and ongoing research into improving the harvesting process. Una's favorite part of the job was witnessing the educational exchange programs. Human volunteers had access to alien libraries containing millions of years of accumulated knowledge. They could study advanced physics, exotic chemistry, and alien philosophy that expanded human understanding in ways that would have taken centuries to achieve independently. Many volunteers returned to Earth as some of the most educated individuals in human history. The medical benefits were equally impressive. Alien healing technology had eliminated most human diseases and could repair injuries that would have been permanent just years earlier. Volunteers received regular health screenings using equipment that could detect and treat problems at the cellular level. Some men had already begun showing signs of the extended lifespans that alien medical intervention could provide. The preserve stations had also become centers of technological innovation. human and alien scientists worked together to develop new harvesting techniques that were more efficient and comfortable for volunteers. They were also researching ways to enhance human pheromone production naturally, potentially increasing the value of each sample while improving volunteer health and well-being. What started as a dark conspiracy to exploit humanity had transformed into something unprecedented, a true partnership between species based on mutual benefit and respect. The aliens received the biological compounds they needed to survive, while humans gained access to technology and knowledge that accelerated their development by thousands of years. Yuna smiled as she watched Earth transport ships arriving with new volunteer rotations. The galaxy had discovered that cooperation was far more profitable than exploitation. Humanity had turned their greatest vulnerability into their greatest strength, creating a new era where Earth stood at the center of galactic civilization. Director Minho Kang sat in his office overlooking New Geneva, Earth's first orbital capital city, watching the steady stream of alien diplomatic vessels arriving for their daily appointments. 6 months ago, these same aliens had barely acknowledged Earth's existence. Now they waited in line for hours just for the chance to speak with human officials about maintaining their biological supply agreements. The transformation had been absolutely incredible to witness. Earth had gone from being a minor player in galactic politics to the undisputed center of interstellar civilization. Every major decision affecting the galaxy now required human approval, not because of military might or technological superiority, but because every alien civilization depended on human biology for their continued survival. Minho often thought about the irony of the situation. For centuries, humans had looked up at the stars and wondered if they would ever be worthy of joining advanced alien civilizations. They had worried about being too primitive, too violent, or too backwards to earn respect in the galaxy. It turned out that none of those concerns mattered. What made humans valuable wasn't their minds or their achievements. It was something they had been producing naturally every single day without even thinking about it. The security protocols for human males had become almost comical in their intensity. Every man on Earth was now assigned a personal protection detail whenever they traveled off-planet. Alien governments competed to offer the most luxurious transportation and accommodation for any human male visiting their worlds. What had once been casual kidnapping attempts had transformed into elaborate courtship rituals, as aliens tried to convince humans to establish biological preserve stations in their territories. The economic numbers were mind-boggling. The galactic trade in human biological compounds had become larger than all other interstellar commerce combined. Earth's currency had become the universal standard, and human financial institutions now controlled the banking systems of dozens of alien worlds. The planet that had once struggled to afford basic space travel was now funding the construction of entire star systems. What impressed Minho most was how individual human lives had been transformed. The volunteers at the biological preserve stations weren't just well-compensated workers. They had become the most educated, healthy, and long-lived humans in history. Many were learning alien sciences that expanded human knowledge exponentially. Some were already showing signs of lifespans that could stretch for millennia, thanks to alien medical technology. The cultural exchange had been equally remarkable. Human art, music, and literature had exploded in popularity across alien worlds. What aliens found most fascinating wasn't humanity's technology or philosophy, but their emotional complexity and creativity. The same biological diversity that made human pheromones so valuable had also produced minds that thought in ways no alien species could replicate. Educational opportunities for humans had expanded beyond anything previously imaginable. Every human child now had access to alien tutoring systems that could provide personalized education in subjects that hadn't even existed before first contact. Universities on Earth were collaborating with ancient alien institutions to develop completely new fields of study that combined human creativity with alien technical knowledge. The military implications had been equally dramatic. No alien civilization would dare attack Earth now, knowing that doing so would cut off their access to the biological compounds that kept their societies functioning. Human space had become the most secure region in the galaxy, protected not by weapons, but by the simple fact that humanity's destruction would cause the collapse of interstellar civilization. Minho smiled as he watched a group of young human men boarding a luxury transport bound for one of the preserve stations. They were heading off to lives of comfort, education, and adventure that previous generations could never have imagined. They were also carrying with them the most valuable substance in the known universe, produced effortlessly by their own bodies. Evolution had played the ultimate joke on the galaxy, making humanity indispensable through pure biological accident. E-Galaxy.